Tonight on 13 News at 11, small communities fighting to save the post offices they depend on. Plus, the protesters of Occupy Huntington getting the boot. What will they do now? And the fight over how much is too much when it comes to arsenic in your juice. Good evening, I'm Stacy Minot. This is 13 News at 11.
This is WOWK, the home of 13 News, where weather comes first. Here's your Storm Tracker 13 first forecast with meteorologist Brittany Rainey.
Good evening, everyone. We've seen some pretty soggy and gray conditions as we started off our work week, but now we're going to end it with very sunny skies and much drier conditions. Taking a look at our Storm Tracker 13 live Doppler radar. Absolutely no rain or snowfall throughout the rest of our night. We're actually not expecting any precipitation until late Sunday night, and then the next chance for snow Monday and Tuesday. Right now, pretty chilly out there, 31 in Huntington, 35 Charleston, and 33 degrees in Parkersburg. Tonight, lows once again in the upper 20s. The skies are going to clear out and stay very sunny as we end our work week. All of the details coming up in just a bit. Stacy?
All right, thanks, Brittany. Tonight we're going to begin with something that we take for granted, and that's our neighborhood post office. It's especially important in small rural communities. And new at 11, the concern that the post office will soon close a number of small branches, including these 5: Bim, Clothier, Jeffrey, Ridgeview, and Unita in Boone County. Closures like that would put some elderly people in a tough spot. 13 News reporter David Iverson spent his evening at a rally where neighbors are trying to save one of those small post offices. He joins us now from our Charleston studios. David.
Good evening, Stacy. Yeah, we're talking about the post office in the community of Unita. It has just 200 P.O. boxes, but to the people who live nearby and use those boxes, they say not having it so close could be dangerous. This small post office in the community of Unita has had a target put on its back. It's one of the 178 post offices in the state that are slated for closure sometime next year, something to the folks that use it aren't thrilled about.
Be a big hassle on me.
That hassle is what brought all these people out Wednesday night. It was a meeting between the post office and postal customers. What they're going to do should the post office go through with closing the only office within miles.
We can't lose them. We just can't lose them.
We'll look at the demographics and try to make the best decision.
None of this is set in stone, and the meeting was part of the decision process. The post office manager takes a recommendation in late January. If his decision is to close, that'll happen in April.
This post office serves a lot of people.
Just how many, no one can say, but people who have to go to the post office for a P.O. box or to sign for medication, they'd be asked to travel to Madison to get their mail.
Exxon's going to like that.
That's why we have a community meeting, to hear the issues and concerns of the people in this community.
To hear the complaints, the problems that will arise, and solutions the post office can take under consideration.
I gladly pay 50 cents for a stamp.
The post office is looking at closing again 178 offices around the state, more than 3,000 nationwide. Even if they close all of those, which is unlikely, it would wipe out just 1% of the deficit the post office is currently running. We'll send it back to you, Stacy.
All right, thanks, David. Well, Occupy Huntington protesters don't have to leave, but city officials say that their stuff has to go. This afternoon, police gave demonstrators a notice to remove all of their tents, tarps, and other items by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Among other concerns, the city noted safety code violations relating to fire barrels and propane heaters.
Yeah. We're still in the process of discussing what's been going on because there's such a large network right now. We're just trying to all collaborate and see where we go from here.
All items not removed by tomorrow's deadline will be removed and thrown away. A 24-year-old Menorah man is jailed on a variety of drug charges tonight. State troopers say they found 10 separate small so-called shake and bake meth labs inside Jerry McCone's home. Troopers were following up on a Child Protective Services complaint when they made the bust. 3 children were removed from that home. While in Cross Lanes, a Kanawha County Sheriff's deputy rescued a dog from a fire at this home. The owner, Joseph McCutcheon, says he dumped an ashtray into a box to burn some papers. He thought he put the fire out and left the house.
On fire, and I put it out, and I thought I had the fire out. I went to Walgreens to get a box of cereal for breakfast. and I saw the fire truck coming down this way.
The house suffered a lot of water damage. Well, now here's an unsettling result of the city of Huntington's budget problems. The second largest city in the state no longer has a fire prevention bureau to investigate fires. 11 other cities in the state have their own investigators, as you can see here. And without arson investigators, all suspicious fires have to be investigated by the state fire marshal's office.
It's always fire department and law enforcement that gets cut first. You know, two of the most valuable assets a city has are the things that get cut first.
Because of the budgetary issues, the situation is what it is. And, you know, we all hate that we've had to make cuts, not just in the fire department. They've had to make cuts in other departments as well.
So while investigations would still happen, it could take a lot longer, and fire officials call that a real disadvantage. Huntington Mayor Kim Wolf announced that he intends to seek a second term in office. The Republican said he'll kick off his re-election campaign before Christmas. The only challenger in the 2012 race so far is Huntington resident Jasper Black, a Democrat, who announced his mayoral bid in June. And in another race, Kanawha County Assistant Prosecutor Fred Giggenbach is looking at a run for the House of Delegates. Giggenbach filed pre-candidacy papers, which means he can begin raising and spending campaign money. Giggenbach filed for the new 35th district in the South Charleston area. Incumbents include Democrats Bonnie Brown, Barbara Hatfield, and Doug Scaff, along with Republican Eric Nelson. The Kanawha County Board of Health is thinking about assigning letter grades to restaurants to let you know how they're doing. Right now, West Virginia health departments only list whether a restaurant has critical or non-critical violations. The revamped system would assign points to violations, which would then convert to a letter grade.
We are going to be looking into the feasibility of trying to convert the violations we have now into points and therefore into letter grades.
No word on when the commission will make a final decision. Well, Frontier Communication crews spent the day restoring service in Alum Creek. Phone service, internet service, and cable service were all cut when thieves cut through a cable. They did a lot of damage, and it's only the latest incident in a long string of problems just like it. Now on to new developments tonight in WVU's exit from the Big East. Lawyers for WVU filed papers to dismiss the Big East Conference's lawsuit against them in Rhode Island. The motion says the Big East suit contains virtually the same facts and claims as the suit that WVU filed against the conference in Monongalia County Circuit Court. Well, what does it take to make it if you're forced out on the streets these days? Still to come tonight on 13 News at 11, a close-up look at poverty in West Virginia. Plus, is Herman Cain's presidential campaign over? A local man who once worked with Cain weighs in.
And the sunshine returns as we end the work week with some warmer temperatures. All of your forecasts coming up in just a bit.